Welcome and hello. This is a support video in DSSVue. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about flattening Excel data. All right, so what this video is going to be mostly about Microsoft Excel, actually. And that's not too uncommon because a lot of folks have data in Excel that they want to bring into DSSVue to create a time series data set. All right, so what I have on the screen is my DSSVue window. Before I get started, I wanted to say that this question came in from a viewer, and the HEC website states that they do not provide support for non-US ACE users. So if you're stumped with a question, you're welcome to email me at the email down below in the video description, and I can go ahead and take a look at it. No promises, but I'll at least go ahead and take a look at it. All right, so with that out of the way, let's get started. Here's my DSSVue, and in the video description for this video, I've also linked two related videos that I've made in my DSSVue playlist, my lesson playlist, or lesson 2 and lesson 5, where I talk about entering time series data manually, where you go up to tools, or you go ahead, you have to create a DSS file first. Sorry, file, new. I'll just put it on my desktop here. I'll call it data and create. Okay, it's been created. And then if you went to data manual time series, so that's what lesson 2 is about. And then lesson 5 is the other video I'm linking. So that's about importing data via Excel, or Excel right here. And then this is import Excel beta, which is similar. All right. So anyway, to the question at hand, flattening data in Excel. The Excel file that I'm opening here, I have it on my desktop. I'm just calling it data. Okay, it opened up right here. And what it is hourly inflow data. So there's a number of different tabs down here. Inflow runoff is the tab that I have selected. And then if I go up to the top row has a description, but then the next row down is hourly inflow data. This is the first day of the year. This is the second day of the year. This is the third day of the year. How do you get all this data into your DSSVue as a single time series data set? And that's what I'm going to provide an answer for in this video using two separate methods. The first method is just going to be by writing a formula in Excel and then copying it down for 24 times 365 cells, which I believe is 8,760. Okay, yep, that's the correct number. And then the other option, the second solution, will be writing a VBA macro. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I'm going to click Enable Editing. Okay. And then the second thing I'm going to do is actually save this file as a .xlsm file. So I'll go up to File, Save As, and then for the type, I'm going to just select Excel Macro Enabled Workbook, and I'm going to put that on my desktop again and click Save. Okay, so now there's my XLSM file. That'll be important for solution 2. What I'm going to do is preserve this inflow runoff tab worksheet as it is, and I'm going to hold down Control and just drag it over and create a copy. So now this is inflow runoff 2. I'm going to double click and just call it inflow underscore data. So this is now my sandbox. This is my worksheet to mess around with, and I can always refer back to the original data that's been untouched, unblemished. Just in case I make a catastrophic mistake and I need to start over, I have that original data. That's just the way I like to do things. Okay, so let's remove that first row. Again, I'm in this inflow underscore data, the new worksheet that I created with a copy of all the data. Delete that first row, and now we have our hourly inflow data for the full year. So this is a block of data that's 24 rows down, and I believe it's 365 columns across. Yep, 365. Also, I like to have my columns using the R1C1 format. So if you're interested in doing that, you can just go up to File and then Options, click on Formulas, and then click on this R1C1 reference style. Just make sure that checkbox is checked and click OK. You don't have to do that, but that's just how I'm doing it. All right. So the first method is to write an equation. So to basically, this is the caveman way to do it, just the dumb way to do it. Just go ahead and copy day 2, and then cut, and then scroll down a little bit, and then at the end of day 1, right click and paste your data. Okay. So now I have 48 records representing hourly inflow data for the first 2 days of the year. I'm not going to do that another 363 times. So I'm just going to undo and leave the data as it is. What I'm going to do is just come over to the far right edge, say column 368. This is going to be my column where I have all of my hourly data listed vertically. So it's going to end with 5/20 520, and 520. But it's going to start with this January 1 data, 530, 530, and so on. Okay, so let's go back over to column 360 right here. Now to save time, I'm just going to paste in the equation right here and then talk about it. So Control V and paste. All right, so what I've pasted in here is an index formula. The first argument is an absolute reference to the array of data. So this is from cell 1, column 1 down to row 24, column 365. The second argument is a reference to the row, and then the third argument is a reference to the column. So this right here is a way to get a reference to the row, and this right here is a way to get the reference to the column. Okay, so row would give you the row of the current cell location. Mod is the modulus, round down, rounds down. So it's pretty straightforward. All right. So then if I went ahead and just copied this, and let me just paste down a little bit past the 1 day mark, you can see we have 530, 530, 520 for a while, and then 600, which is like, I don't know, 8 or 9 p.m. on that first day. And then we start the second day with 540, 520, 500, 480. Let's go ahead and just double check that real quick. Yeah, so 540, 520, 500, 480. That seems to look correct. Oops. All right, let's go ahead and now drag this down 8,650 rows or 60 rows and maybe a few extra rows just to make sure that once we go over, we have some sort of reference error. All right, so I'm just going to copy this and then hold down Shift and then page down and then just wait until the row column gets down to 8,760. That's 4,000. Okay, that's 5,000. Okay, that's 8,000 right there. And then 760. I'm going to go a few past, maybe right here, and see what happens, and paste. All right, so let me scroll down to the bottom. And just as I expected, 8,760 works, but then there's no reference past that because it would go to the next column over, which doesn't have any data. All right, it's actually outside of the range that's specified in the first argument. Okay, so it looks good. So this is your data right here. Once you go, now you could go back to DSSVue, enter your data, import Excel, and then follow all the steps in that lesson number 5 to complete the tasks. But yeah, here are your data values. If you want to use a macro, I'm going to go ahead and provide solution 2 starting now. We're going to make our column 370 the target value, the target column for the same values, the hourly inflow time series data for that year, but using the macro. All right, so the first step is to go up to your developer tab right here in Excel. And if you don't see this developer tab here, you want to go up to File and then Options. And then in the left panel, you're going to want to click Customize Ribbon and then click on Developer to check that on. So make sure Developer is checked, click OK, and then you should see this Developer tab right here. And this is why I saved the file as a .xlsm file as well, so we can save it with a macro. So go ahead and click on this Visual Basic button in the far left button of your Developer tab. That will bring up your Visual Basic for Applications Editor window here. Now we have our sheet 5 is the original, that's inflow runoff, and then sheet 6 is the worksheet that we're working on. That's called inflow_data. Okay, I'm going to write a macro in its own module. I'm not going to use any of the location within the worksheets. So I'm going to go up to, let's go insert module. Okay, so here's module 1 that was just created. This is where we're going to write our code. And to save us time, I'm just going to paste in the code right here. So you're welcome to, oops, okay, there we go. You're welcome to pause the video and copy this down if you want. But basically, all we're doing is saying the target column is column 370. The worksheet that we're working with here is number 6, which is sheet 6 right here. And then we're looping through all the columns and all the rows, and we're just pasting that value right here in our target column row, and we're looping through one at a time. And the target row continues to increment, and the target column is just a constant at 370. At the very end, it should say task complete. So before and after, here's our before. We have no data in column 370. Let's go ahead and see if this works. So all I have to do is, just select that subroutine and then click the play button. And then wait a moment. It says task complete, so that's good. Click OK. And then let's minimize that. And voila, looks like the data is here. I'm just doing some spot check versus the option 1 of the formula. And that looks good. Let's go ahead and go down to the very bottom. And it looks like, it looks correct. I mean, it's not center justified, but I mean, that's the last thing to worry about. Okay, so now it is. But yeah, either option is a way to make some changes in Excel to flatten your Excel data, which may be in a format you don't like, or that is not as compatible for importing your data into DSSVue as a time series data set. I hope that was helpful.